Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, March 14th. We are now at 6:45 p.m. and welcome into another live coverage update here on the severe weather that we are seeing affect portions of the state of Illinois, namely the southern half of the state of Illinois here. Started here a couple hours ago, late this afternoon, and now we are seeing that activity continue into this evening, and we are seeing a couple of tornado warnings now in effect once again here across portions of the state. We have a tornado warning that is in effect down here. This is for portions of Jasper and Clay counties. Jasper and Clay counties down here in southeastern Illinois here, and that's until 7:15 p.m. We have a supercell storm here that is showing some signs of rotation as it crosses U.S. Route 45 between Horde and Louisville down here. Once again, that is a tornado warning for portions of Jasper and Clay counties crossing U.S. Route 45 here. That tornado warning in effect until 7:15 p.m. We also have a tornado warning a little bit further to the north here. Let's zoom in on this tornado warning, which honestly doesn't look all that impressive just taking a quick peek at it here. Let me just go back in time here to see what we're dealing with. But we do have another, actually that tornado warning was just canceled. It does look like very briefly, there was a little bit of rotation in parts of Shelby and Cumberland counties, very close to Strasburg, Trowbridge, and Neoga. But that area of rotation was very, very brief, and it has already diminished. So that tornado warning for Shelby and Cumberland counties has actually already quickly expired. It was only briefly in effect. Looks like that was only in effect for about 15 minutes or so before they decided to cancel that tornado warning because that area of rotation weakened. But with that said, we do continue to have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings that are still in effect from Charleston and Mattoon in the I-57 and I-70 corridors out there in eastern Illinois down through Effingham. Down south of Vandalia, south of I-70, going towards Mount Vernon, some severe thunderstorm warnings. And then back over to the St. Louis metro area. You folks are still dealing with severe thunderstorm warnings as well in the St. Louis metro area. A lot of severe weather activity ongoing around there. Then, as we head into eastern Missouri, we have some severe thunderstorm warnings. That activity going to be moving into southern Illinois over the next couple of hours. So a lot of activity going on, and it does look like we have a new tornado warning in effect here. New tornado warning until 7:15 p.m. for Marion and Fayette counties. So new tornado warning for Marion and Fayette counties. So these are our two areas that we're watching for tornado potential right now. We do have some broad, weak rotation very near U.S. Route 45. This is in portions of Jasper and Clay counties right now. You can see where that red and green comes together, kind of interlocks, forming a couplet. That's that area of rotation we're watching around those communities. We also have a little bit of rotation showing up here with this storm near Alma, Kinmundy. That's in portions of Marion and Fayette counties here, very close to Farina as well. This is right along Interstate 57 here coming through these counties. This is well to the northeast of the Salem area. So two particular storms here we're watching. Both of them have some rotation at this time. So two different tornado warnings in effect. Once again, tornado warning for Marion and Fayette County until 7:15, and also for Jasper and Clay counties until 7:15. Two storms right now, both showing some rotational signatures with them, and both having the potential to produce tornado with both of them at this point in time as well. All right here. Let's see here. See a couple comments and questions coming in here. I do see Tasha checking in from out in the Roxana area. That's off to, I believe, the north side of the St. Louis area, northeast side of the St. Louis area. You do have some severe thunderstorms as I switch the radar over there. You do have some severe thunderstorms coming into your area. They're going to be capable of producing some large hail and damaging winds with them. This activity has been moving through the St. Louis area for quite a while now. You'll notice as I put the radar in motion here, we have had a lot of activity moving through this corridor here over the past couple of hours, and like I said, a lot of it has been producing damaging winds, and especially more so some hail, quarter, $half, golf ball size hail with some of this activity as it's been moving through this corridor here over the past couple of hours or so. But at this particular moment in time, as we're now at 6:50 p.m. now, we do continue to have these severe thunderstorms and tornado warned storms that we're watching down here across portions of southern Illinois here. Once again, 2 different tornado warnings in effect until 7:15. The first tornado warning for Marion and Fayette County. This particular area of rotation very near Kimundi right now, Alma, Farina, and portions of Marion and Fayette County. That warning is until 7:15 p.m. Also, the other warning for Jasper and Clay counties, that tornado warning also until 7:15. That storm with its rotation very near the community of Horde right now, also going to be coming towards Ingram very soon as well, maybe eventually off towards Bogota as well eventually. So, a couple different things we're watching here, in particular these 2 storms, these 2 supercell storms here. And let's see if we could get some information on any of these storms. And while I do so, let's check in on some comments and questions here. Shania, yes, some of this activity is moving towards Lawrence County. Some of it is going to be moving towards Lawrence County over the next couple of hours. Jacksonville, Deb, yes, Jacksonville is done for the night. See Lori and also Alicia and Melanie checking in from northern Illinois. There is no severe weather threat up there. Temperatures have actually cooled down quite a bit. It's actually kind of cold up there across parts of northern Illinois now. Danielle and Macomb, severe weather threat is done in western Illinois as well. Raina checking in from Taylorville. Your severe weather threat is now over with for the remainder of today and tonight. I should say the threat for the rest of today and tonight is generally going to be near and south of I-70. So the remaining threat over the next several hours for severe weather is going to be near and south of I-70, all the way down to the southern tip of Illinois. So still several more hours of severe weather potential to go across those areas. All right, just checking to see here if we have any information on any of these tornado warnings here. Don't particularly see anything going on with any of this activity right now. Nothing at least confirmed at this point in time. But nonetheless, we do still have these tornado warnings in effect. Both of these, as I mentioned, both of these are in effect until 7:15 p.m. for both of these particular storms here. In these pink polygons here, once again for portions of Marion and Fayette counties until 7:15 p.m. That is this pink box towards the left side of the image here. And then the right side of the image, that's the tornado warning that's in effect for portions of Jasper and Clay counties. And that storm is the one that is the most interesting at this point in time. We're actually seeing a very good rotational signature with this storm at this point in time. Very near the Horde area over towards Ingram. This is going to be approaching Route 1700E very soon here between Ingram and Horde. This is once again in portions of northeastern Clay County. Going to be moving into southern Jasper County here very shortly. That is the main storm we're watching for right now. Definitely a good rotational signature showing up here on radar with this particular supercell thunderstorm. In addition to the tornado threat with this storm, it is also capable of producing some hail with it as well. All right. Chris checking in from Belleville. You have some severe thunderstorms out across your area right now in the Belleville area. Not directly over Belleville right now, but just off to the southeast and the east, also to the north of the Belleville area. There's some severe thunderstorms producing some hail out across that area. See some folks tuning in from northern Illinois. Once again, northern Illinois, no severe weather for you. I repeat that, northern Illinois, no severe weather for you. The main severe weather risk for the rest of today and into tonight is going to be down across southern Illinois from I-70 southward across the southern tip of Illinois. So southern half of the state of Illinois is where the severe weather threat is going to be for the remainder of tonight. And of focus right now, I really want to focus in on this particular storm here, this supercell storm across portions of Jasper and Clay counties. This is northern Clay County and southwestern Jasper County here, very near the community of Ingram. If you're in this area, this storm definitely has some rotation with it. This is probably one of the best signatures for rotation we've seen all day long across the state today. So if you are, once again, northeastern Clay County, southwestern Jasper County, you are going to want to seek shelter. You can see this is a nice-looking supercell thunderstorm here. You can see the big, bulky part of this storm on the north side, and then as you head to the west and the southwest side, you get this nice hook forming. This is a very nice supercell thunderstorm moving across these areas right now. Definitely has the capability of producing some large hail with it as well. In addition to this rotation, you'll see this rotational signature on the radar here, where these brighter reds meet these brighter greens. You can see how it comes together and kind of forms a couplet together. That is that rotational signature on the radar that we are watching for this potential for a tornado across these areas right now. As I mentioned just a minute ago, this is probably the best looking rotational signature we have seen on radar all afternoon and evening for this for these areas across the state today. So this is probably the best chance we've seen a storm at potentially producing a tornado today in the state of Illinois. And this, once again, is for northeastern Clay County, southwestern Jasper County, very near the community of Ingram. This is a very rural area out here, a lot of farmland, a lot of rural area, but there are a couple of small communities. Like I said, Ingram being one of them here. This is also going to be moving over towards Bogota very shortly. That's in southern Jasper County, so if you're in that community, might want to seek shelter as well. As we continue to see this rotational signature on radar here, very, very close to Ingram. It's pretty much right on the county line, the Clay and Jasper County line. We are probably seeing that rotation pass over that area right at this point in time with this particular supercell thunderstorm, and also has the capability, like I said, of producing some large hail as well. Back a little bit to the southwest, we still also have a tornado warning in effect for portions of Marion and Fayette counties. With this one, the rotational signature is quite weak and broad at this time. There's just a little bit right here, right towards the center of this radar image, right here, just a little bit of broad, weak rotation at this point in time. Definitely not as impressive as the storm off to the northeast, but nonetheless still have that tornado warning in effect for portions of Marion and Fayette counties as well. That one in effect until 7:15. So two different storms here with two different tornado warnings. Then we also have some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect from the I-70 corridor just to the east of Charleston, up around the Marshall community, south of Paris. The I-70 corridor here heading into towards Terre Haute, Indiana. Some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for that corridor. Also back down along the I-64 corridor, down in the vicinity of, we have Damiensville here, New Minden, Addyville, New Baden, Vinity, St. Libory, Fayetteville. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that portion of the I-64 corridor for the threat of hail and damaging winds with that activity. And then also off to the north and northeast side of the St. Louis area, we have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for the Edwardsville area, right along the I-70 corridor, I-57 corridor. That is for the threat of some large hail and damaging winds as well. And then there's also a severe thunderstorm warning in eastern Missouri for this, what appears to be actually a weakening line of severe thunderstorms that's about to move into portions of southwestern Illinois. That could eventually affect the Carbondale, Marion areas with some time here. So a lot of things we're watching for. And with that said, let's get back over here to this tornado warning because we have had an update here. We now have a new tornado warning in effect for portions of Jasper, Richland, Clay, and Effingham counties until 7:30 p.m. So once again, we have a new tornado warning for portions of Jasper, Richland, Clay, and Effingham counties, and that is in effect until 7:30 p.m. And that is for this particular storm right here, smack dab in the middle of the screen here. You'll notice here we do have some rotation with this particular storm here, where that red meets the green, and it comes together as a nice little couplet. That's our area of rotation. It is very close to the community of Ingram right now. It is going to be moving off in an easterly direction into Jasper County here very shortly. So if you are in the community of Bogota, definitely going to want to keep an eye on this particular storm as well. As we head back once again down to the southwest of that storm, we have another storm here that has prompted yet a new tornado warning as well. This tornado warning is in effect now for portions of southwestern Clay County. So there's actually two different tornado warnings in effect for Clay County at this point in time. This one also goes until 7:30 p.m. And you can see there is a little bit of rotation here on the radar. It does look like there's also a damaging wind threat with this storm as well. A little bit of rotation, like I said, with this storm as well. It's eventually going to move into Clay County here, probably just north of the Xenia area, over towards Louisville and Flora as well there in Clay County. So two different areas of rotation we're watching. They stick out pretty well here on the radar wind velocities. Once again, one pretty much right on the Clay-Jasper County line, north of Ingram, coming towards Bogota. And then the second area of some rotation here coming from the Marion and Fayette County area, and that one's going to be heading into Clay County, eventually over towards the Flora and Louisville areas as well. So two different areas of rotation with both of these supercell storms that we're watching here in portions of southeastern Illinois. Backing out once again to a wide view, you will notice we have some other colored polygons on the map here. These red polygons represent severe thunderstorm warnings. The green polygons are actually flood warnings that are in effect, because we do see some training of activity ongoing. We do see some training of activity ongoing for some areas as well. All right, just seeing if I could get any new information on that stuff. And I'm not seeing any new information or any confirmation regarding any of these storms here. I'm trying to update because there are a lot of storm chasers and spotters in the field today across Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. So they're spread out all over the place following these different storms today. And in particular, these storms right now, I do not have any updates on any of these particular storms in regards to anything confirmed at this point in time. So as of this moment, we're at 7:05 p.m. Once again, we do continue to track some severe weather across portions of the state of Illinois as we now head deeper into this evening. Going back to a wide view here, we have several severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings in effect here as of 7:05 p.m. From the Illinois-Indiana border in the Terre Haute area down through closing in on the Flora and Olney areas, Robinson eventually here coming up soon. Going to be heading into the Mount Vernon area very soon. And then all the way down through the St. Louis area, we continue to see this severe weather occurring this evening. Speaking of which, I see a new report of hail, 2.5-inch hail reported in Nashville. So we have some very large hail occurring with some of these storms along the I-64 corridor just to the west of the Mount Vernon area. And this activity is going to be pushing in the general vicinity of Mount Vernon over the next hour or two. So once again, we just have a recent report out of Nashville, just south of the I-64 corridor, of a 2.5-inch diameter hail report. So that's some pretty big hail once you go over 2 inches in diameter. Flipping back up here to these two supercell thunderstorms with those tornado warnings in effect. Once again, we do have two tornado warnings in effect for portions of Clay County, also up into portions of Jasper, Richland, northeastern Clay County, and the Effingham area as well. So we are dealing with quite a bit of activity right now with these couple of different tornado warnings in effect. And you can see there are rotational signatures on the radar right now with the northern storm, the northeastern storm, just north of Ingram. You can see this area of rotation is very close to Bogota now. It's going to be coming into that community very, very shortly, which is in Jasper County. Also, if you're in places like Newton, if you're in St. Marie, if you're in Willow Hill here in Jasper County, definitely going to want to keep an eye on this storm because it is going to be moving into your areas very soon here. So once again, if you're in Bogota, Newton, Willow Hill, St. Marie, all of those in Jasper County, definitely going to want to seek shelter because there is a rotational signature with this particular storm on radar. The supercell storm, as it continues to move off in an easterly or east-northeasterly direction. We also have the second supercell storm here that's now moving into Clay County with another tornado warning for Clay County here. A little bit of rotation on the front edge here, but it does look like also a damaging wind threat with this storm as well. It does look like we're seeing the RFD on this storm surge out just a little bit here. That could be producing some damaging winds as well as that low-end tornado threat. Places like Xenia, Flora, the Louisville area, the US 45 corridor here in Clay County, and the US 50 corridor here. Route 50, Route 45 corridors here in portions of Clay County. You're going to want to keep a watch on this particular storm as it moves through as well. So these are the two big storms in town right now that we're watching for here. As you can see, both of them have some rotation. Definitely the northern one up in Jasper County. That one has the best looking rotational signature at this time. The one down south in Clay County, that one also has a little rotation, but it also has a good look of some damaging wind potential with it as well. So we're going to continue to especially monitor these two storms in particular as they're the most impressive looking two storms at this point in time. All right, just trying to skim the airwaves here, seeing if we could get some updates on what's going on. It doesn't look like there's many reports coming in from these storms right now. I don't see anything confirmed yet. Unfortunately, it does look like there are a bunch of tornadoes occurring. If anyone knows folks up in Ohio, there are a bunch of tornado warnings up in Ohio, in eastern Indiana. Several large tornadoes occurring up that way, so that's unfortunate. But the good news for Illinois is these two storms, we have yet to have any sort of confirmation of any sort of tornadoes with these storms as of yet. Both storms do have rotational signatures, as you can see here on the radar. The storm further to the northeast in this image, which is in Jasper County now, very near the community of Bogota. That storm has the best-looking rotational signature right now out of the two. The second storm a little bit further to the southeast, closing in on Louisville and the Flora area. That one has a little rotational signature, but it also has a signature for damaging winds as well. In addition to the tornado and damaging wind threats, both storms could produce some large hail as well. We have seen many reports of large hail with a lot of these severe thunderstorms across the state today. All right, here. I see some more folks tuning in from Southern Illinois. Southern Illinois, yes, you are going to see a severe weather threat. Folks such as, let's go, McLeansboro, Mount Vernon, Fairfield, Olney, Robinson, Harrisburg, Marion, Carbondale, even down towards Paducah, the southern tip of Illinois. All of you folks are still under the gun for severe weather over the next couple of hours. You might not have seen much yet, but you will have the opportunity to over the next couple of hours. But as you can see here, we do have several warnings in effect right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings in effect along the I-70 corridor up around the Marshall area. We have a couple of tornado warnings in effect once again from Jasper County down through Clay County for these two supercell thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes. And then we have this complex of severe thunderstorms here just off towards the the west-northwest of the Mount Vernon area, and this activity has been producing damaging winds of 60 miles per hour and hail up to 2.5 inches in diameter. There was a report from about a little while ago of 2.5-inch diameter hail in Nashville, which is a community just south of I-64 off to the west of Mount Vernon. So if you are in the Centralia or the Mount Vernon areas, this big cluster of severe thunderstorms is heading your way down across those areas. So if you're along I-64 or I-57 down in the Salem, Centralia, Mount Vernon areas, I would hold off on travel for a little while because these potent, vigorous, severe thunderstorms are going to be coming through, capable of producing some large hail and also some damaging winds with them as well. Let's take a look back at those tornado warnings that are in effect. Once again, still have a couple of tornado warnings in effect for about the next 15, 17 minutes or so until 7:30 for portions of Jasper County for the most part and down into Clay County as well. We're watching both of these storms. They have shown some rotational signatures on them, and what I mean by that is the radar is showing us that both of these storms are rotating, both in the upper levels and at the lower levels. And the lower levels obviously is what we're concerned about because that's what could produce a tornado. So both of these storms have shown some rotational signatures. The good news is we have not seen any confirmation that any tornadoes have occurred. So that's some good news, but we are going to continue to monitor these two particular storms, especially this one coming up here on the north end near the Bogota area. That's in Jasper County. The other storm coming through Clay County, going to be coming towards the Louisville and the Flora area very soon. Also eventually towards Sailor Springs and the Clay City area as well. So two supercell storms here that we are really watching right now that have shown signs of rotation and the capability of producing tornadoes as well. All right, let me check back here, see if we could get any updated information on any of these storms. And once again, I'm not really seeing any updated information on either of these two storms at this exact moment in time. Yeah, not really seeing any updated information on either of these two storms at this point in time. We will obviously continue to monitor them. They are two of the most potent severe storms we have in the state right now. Once again, tornado warnings from Jasper down in the Clay counties, both until 7:30 p.m. for both of these severe supercell thunderstorms here. Not only have they had rotation and the capability of maybe producing a tornado, which they have not yet, but we're still monitoring, but they also are capable of producing large hail as well as some damaging winds. So that is two things we're going to continue to watch for here as we go in time here. Zooming back out, it looks like we have a new tornado warning that I just got notified of here. New tornado warning here. This is for portions of Clark County in eastern Illinois, very close to the community of Martinsville right now. We have a tornado warning, and I'm trying to get a better radar shot of this particular storm, but it does seem to be pretty far from any of the local radars, unfortunately. So it doesn't look like we're going to get a good view of this storm here. But nonetheless, we got a tornado warning for Clark County in eastern Illinois, including the communities of Martinsville, Clark Center, and Marshall, also Darwin. And this is in effect until 8 p.m. This storm here is showing a little bit of a rotational signature here on radar, very close to Martinsville, actually right this moment. So if you are in any of those communities, tornado warning for Clark County in eastern Illinois. Once again, that is in effect until 8 p.m. So once again, coming back out to the wide view here, the severe weather threat is pretty much for the remainder of this evening is along and south of I-70. So from Terre Haute down through Effingham, and then down through St. Louis, the severe weather threat is pretty much from along that line on southward across southern Illinois for the rest of this evening. Also of note, we've discussed this a little bit already, but we have this big cluster of severe thunderstorms here right along Interstate 64. This is coming into the Mount Vernon area shortly. It's in the Centralia area right now. It should be coming in close to the Salem area. Actually, a severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect for the Mount Vernon area. This storm capable of producing hail greater than the size of quarters, damaging winds of 60 miles per hour as well. So if you're in Centralia, you're getting hit by it now. Salem, the worst of it will pass just to your south. But Mount Vernon, it looks like this is generally heading in near your direction as it looks at this point in time. So if you're anywhere in that I-65 or I-57 corridor between Salem and Mount Vernon, you might want to pause travel for a little bit because it is going to be coming in your direction with the threat for some damaging winds and some hail. All right, taking a look back here at those two supercell thunderstorms that we've been focusing on quite a while now in parts of Jasper County and also down into parts of Clay County here. You can see both of these storms, and they both continue to have rotational signatures, and actually the storm further south is actually having better rotation now than the storm further to the north. So the one up in Jasper County does continue to have radar rotation here as it's come through the Bogota area, coming up to State Route 130 very soon between Newton and Dundas very shortly. Going to be coming through the St. Marie area, Willow Hill very shortly as well. This particular storm is showing some signs of some weak rotation still. Then the storm a little bit further south in Clay County, the rotation is actually attempting to ramp up just a little bit as it approaches the Flora area. So if you are in Flora, Clay City, Sailor Springs, definitely monitor this storm as it comes through, because it is showing some slightly increased signs of some rotation with it now as it is coming into those communities there in Clay County. So those are those two tornado warnings. And then also, once again, for Clark County in eastern Illinois, we are seeing the storm near the Martinsville community. It does also have a little bit of rotation with it as well, as it has come through the Martinsville area. So if you are in Clark Center, if you are in Darwin, if you are in Marshall or along State Route 1, in Clark County, you're going to want to keep an eye on the weather situation. Take shelter as well as the storm comes in, as it is showing some signs of rotation as well. So, as I mentioned before, have a lot of severe weather activity ongoing across the state as we continue into this evening now. We're now at 7:20 p.m. We've been dealing with some severe weather across the state now for the past several hours since the middle and later portion of this afternoon. And with time, we've seen the severe weather activity slowly stair-step off to the southeast. If you recall, earlier this afternoon, activity started up by the Jacksonville, Springfield, Pittsfield area. It started all the way up there several hours ago, and now we've moved further southeast, and we're talking about places like Olney now, Flora, Mount Vernon, Centralia, places like that. And eventually, as we head deeper into the next several hours, we're going to start to talk about places like Vincennes, Fairfield, McLeansboro, Harrisburg, Marion, Carbondale, Paducah. All of you folks will be in line for some severe thunderstorm activity being possible here over the next several hours. The good news is, as we get into late tonight, overnight, late tonight, and into early Friday morning, this activity will continue to move off towards the east. The cold front is going to be sweeping through, and we will see an end to the severe weather threat as we head later into tonight or very early wee hours of Friday morning. So that is some good news. So by the time we get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it is going to be cooler. We're going to be saying goodbye to the 60 and 70 degree temperatures. Those are going away for a little while, and we're going to be saying hello to 30, 40, and 50 degree temperatures for the most part across the state as we head into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it is going to turn cooler, but it is going to turn quieter for the weekend. So that is some good news there. All right, here, going back into our severe weather situation here. Once again, we have 3 different tornado warnings in effect at this point in time. This area up north here, this is Clark County. Tornado warning for Clark County, and that is until 8 p.m. There is some rotation showing up with this little storm here very close to Martinsville and Clark Center. This is going to be crossing State Route 1 as it moves near Marshall and Darwin very shortly. Heading a little bit down further to the south here, we have this storm here. This is mostly in Jasper County now. It does look like this storm is actually weakening now. Not much in the way of rotation left with it now. This storm moved through the Bogota area, going to be crossing State Route 130 as it heads over towards Newton, Willow Hill, and St. Marie very shortly. That's in Jasper County. That tornado warning until 7:30 p.m. Also, a little bit further south in Clay County, we have this supercell thunderstorm, which is actually the best-looking one that remains at this point in time here. A little bit of rotation showing up here very close to Flora right now. So the rotation with this supercell storm that has the tornado warning is very close to Flora right now. On the north side of Flora, that tornado warning still remains in effect until 7:30 p.m. So a couple different tornado warnings in effect, and then a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings down in effect along the I-64 corridor. This activity is going to be coming into the Salem and Mount Vernon areas very shortly. If you're in Centralia, you're getting hit right now, probably with some heavy rain, maybe some hail as well. And all of this activity, as I mentioned before, I put the radar in motion here. You can see it's all moving off towards the east. So if you're in places like Robinson, Olney, Vincennes, Fairfield, you're going to be affected over the next 2 hours or so. If you're in places like Carbondale, Marion, Harrisburg, McLeansboro, Paducah, you're going to have the chance as well as we go through the next several hours. So even though you folks haven't seen much yet in those areas, your threat is going to be on the way over the next several hours because, like I said, with the radar in motion, you can see everything is moving from west to east across the state here. So you will get in on some of that activity across southern and southeastern Illinois over the next several hours. All right, here, I'm going to leave this radar on the wide view here. I'm going to step away for a moment and see if we could get some updated information on any of these more significant storms for you. All right, just coming back here once again. We are approaching 7:30 p.m. now. Not seeing any real new updated information on either of these 3 tornado warnings here across eastern and southeastern Illinois. Taking a look at the radar wind velocities here, the tornado warning for Clark County, we do continue to still see a little bit of rotation showing up here on the radar with that storm very close to the Clark Center community now. Going to be moving towards Marshall and Darwin, crossing State Route 1 very, very shortly with that storm. That storm is surrounded by heavy rain right now. So that storm is surrounded by heavy rain. We also still have this tornado warning continuing for portions of the Jasper County areas just for a little while longer. But honestly, that storm really has lost its rotation and has really weakened as well. And then also we have a tornado warning and a new tornado warning for portions of Clay, little portion of Jasper County, and also into Richland counties. And that tornado warning is in effect until 8:15 p.m. So tornado warning now includes Clay City, Sailor Springs, Noble, Olney, you're under a tornado warning now, and also up to Dundas. So we have this particular storm here, which has shown at times signs of a little bit better rotation. So we're going to continue to watch this little storm here, or should I say big storm here. But I have a feeling what we're going to see happen is going to be similar to what this storm is doing up north. I have a feeling now that the cold front is starting to catch this activity, I believe what we're going to see is this turn into more of a damaging wind threat here over the next little while. But as for this moment in time, a little rotational signature coming near the Clay City, Sailor Springs area here. This is in Clay County. So we're going to continue to watch that at this particular point in time. And then once again, for you folks, don't want to leave you out because severe thunderstorm warnings are just as important as tornado warnings sometimes. And we have these severe thunderstorm warnings that are still in effect for the I-64 corridor and the I-57 corridor from Salem down through the Mount Vernon area. This big cluster of severe thunderstorms here is capable and has a history of producing large hail and damaging winds with it. It just came through the Centralia area just now, and like I said, is now about to move into the Mount Vernon areas, all the way up to the Salem area. You're getting it right now as well. And this activity is going to continue off towards the east and could eventually affect the Fairfield area. So if you're down the road in the Fairfield area, right there along US Route 45, this activity coming through Centralia, Salem, and Mount Vernon will be coming into your neck of the woods probably within the next hour to hour and a half from now. So you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on that activity. The good news is the tornado warning that was in effect for much of Jasper County, up around the Bogota, St. Marie, Willow Hill, Newton areas, that tornado warning has been allowed to expire because that storm has weakened. The rotation with it is gone, and for the most part, the storm is really falling apart at this point in time. So now that leaves 2 different tornado-warned storms that are in place now. This one up to the north is still a tornado-warned storm. Still a little bit of rotation very close to Clark Center. It's going to be coming into Marshall very shortly, right along State Route 1. That storm still showing a little bit of rotation here up across Clark County with that tornado warning in effect until 8 p.m. And then coming back down south, we have a tornado warning down here. This is portions of Jasper, Richland, and Clay counties, including Sailor Springs, the Clay City area, Noble, and Olney. You folks are all in line for this storm that's coming through. This one has a capability of producing a tornado, damaging winds, and hail with it as well. And honestly, as we go forward into time here, it's looking like we're going to transition from a tornado threat to more of a damaging wind and hail threat with this particular storm as time goes on. We're continuing to monitor that at this particular time. And then the other game in town right now is this. It's pretty much just a blob. It is a big blob of severe thunderstorms right here in the vicinity of Salem, Centralia, Mount Vernon, right here in the I-64, I-57 corridors. So if you're in those areas, you're probably getting some hail. You might be getting some damaging or at least gusty winds as well down there. And like I said, that activity will continue off towards the east. So if you're in places like Fairfield is the next big town off towards the east, this big blob around Mount Vernon of severe thunderstorms could be headed your way within the next hour, hour and a half or so, give or take there. So those are really the 3 areas of severe weather we're watching for now. These 3 areas: the tornado warning in Clark County up near Marshall, the tornado warning in parts of Jasper, Richland, and Clay counties with that storm near Clay City. And then this big blob of severe thunderstorms in the vicinity of Centralia, Salem, and Mount Vernon that could be producing some damaging winds and hail at this point in time. So those are our warnings as they look at this point in time now that we have crossed 7:30 p.m. now. All right here. Still not seeing any real-time spotter or storm chaser information from any of these storms at this point in time. And there's a lot of spotters and chasers out there today, so it doesn't look like these are actually producing anything at this exact moment in time. But obviously, we are monitoring these storms as they continue to move off towards the east here. I see a lot of questions still from folks in Northern Illinois in the group chat. I just looked in the group chat for the first time in about 15 minutes. Anybody tuning in, Northern Illinois, whether it's Rockford, the Quad Cities, Chicago, you are not getting severe weather. You are not getting any weather for that matter at all. The cold front came through. It is cooler up there now. It is stable. If you're in Northern Illinois, I keep seeing a lot of questions from the Chicago area. No severe weather for you. And actually, much of central Illinois is done with the severe weather as well. If you're in places like Macomb, Quincy, Galesburg, Peoria, Bloomington, Champaign, Lincoln, Springfield, I think I already named that, Decatur, your severe weather threat is all done for the day. Taylorville, your severe weather threat's done. Vandalia, Effingham, Charleston, Shelbyville, Carlinville, Carrollton, Pittsfield, Jacksonville, you are all done with the severe weather for today. The threat is going to be from I-70, should I say south of I-70. So the threat for the remainder of today is going to be south of I-70 as we go through the next several hours. So south of I-70 across southern Illinois is the continued severe weather risk over the next several hours. See Victoria checking in from Louisville, Illinois. I know I mentioned that town a little while ago. You had some hail in your area. And I just want to let you know, I do monitor the video chat from time to time, but when we are doing this live coverage, obviously monitoring the radar is a little bit more of a higher priority, but I do try to tune in and look at some of the comments from time to time as possible. Speaking of which, I see Elizabeth checking in from Fairfield, and I see Courtney checking in from Olney, or at least you have friends in Olney. Well, both of you are going to have some issues, whether it's you there or your friends winds there because Olney is actually under a tornado warning. This supercell thunderstorm here is showing some rotational signature near the Clay City area. Also has the capability of producing damaging winds. This is going to run right along U.S. Route 50 from Clay City through Noble over towards the Olney area. So be on the lookout for that over the next half an hour to 45 minutes or so. And then down for the Fairfield area, this big complex of severe thunderstorms from Salem, Centralia, down through Mount Vernon, that will be making its way over towards Fairfield over the next hour and a half or so, with the potential of damaging winds and hail with it as well. So that activity is going to be headed your way. All right, here. Continuing on, though, we do have some tornado warnings that continue to be in effect here. As I just mentioned, for the Olney area, if you're in southeastern Jasper, central Richland, eastern central Clay County, you have a tornado warning until 8:15 p.m. For this storm, like I said, that is near Clay City right now. Also, further to the north, we continue to have, at least for a little while longer, a tornado warning for portions of Clark County in southeastern Illinois. That storm is right near Marshall right now. A little bit of rotational signature on the radar left over, but not too much left of that one right now. That tornado warning for Clark County until 8 p.m. And then, like I said, this big blob of severe thunderstorms coming into Mount Vernon now. See a report of quarter-size hail near Woodlawn. That's off to the west of the Mount Vernon area. So if you are in Mount Vernon, this storm is probably right on top of you right now. You might be getting some hail, might be getting some damaging winds with it as well. All right, and if you are in any of these areas and you do have a report, definitely mention it in the group chat here, whether you're tuning in on Facebook or you are tuning in on YouTube, and hopefully I'll be able to see it, and then I will mention it for everybody. But once again here, we do have severe weather that continues across the state this evening. We are now down in southeastern and southern Illinois. Speaking of southern Illinois, here we go, southern Illinois. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that goes into the far southern tip of Illinois now, down near the Cape Girardeau area here. This line of severe thunderstorms coming out of Missouri is going to be moving across the southern portion of the state of Illinois here before too long. So we're definitely keeping an eye for places like Carbondale, Marion, down through the Harrisburg, Paducah areas. This activity coming out of Missouri is going to be heading your way, and there's a severe thunderstorm warning for the far southwestern tip of Illinois near the Cape Girardeau area at this point in time. And I did want to shift up a little bit to the north here. Now, obviously, we're not in Ohio and we're not in Indiana, but I did just want to shift this up here because all these pink boxes, there's 5 pink boxes here across Ohio and Indiana. There are confirmed tornadoes ongoing across Ohio and eastern Indiana right now. So consider yourself lucky down there in southeastern Illinois. Yeah, you're under tornado warnings, but there's been no confirmed tornadoes. Unfortunately, those in eastern Indiana and up into Ohio, those tornado warnings have been confirmed. There have been several tornadoes that have occurred out there over the past couple of hours. With that said, back down here to Illinois, and we do have these couple of different warnings in effect. Once again, the pink polygons, these pink boxes, are tornado warnings. Tornado warning until 8 p.m. for Clark County. Tornado warning until 8:15 p.m. for parts of Jasper, Richland, and Clay counties here. These are our 2 tornado-warned storms. This one for Clark County does seem to have weakened just a little bit. Still a little bit of a rotational signature here as the storm comes between Marshall and Darwin. It is about to push over the Illinois-Indiana border, though. We'll be coming into the Terre Haute area here very shortly. Also have this tornado-warned storm, like I said, in the Richland, Clay County, Jasper County area. This is very close to the Clay City area right now, but Looking at the radar wind velocities here, it looks like the cold front has finally caught up to this storm, and it is now starting to turn into more of a damaging wind threat. So once again, the storm in Jasper, Richland, and Clay counties, yes, you have a tornado warning until 8:15 p.m., but what I am seeing here is the cold front has caught this storm, and it is transitioning more from a tornado and hail threat over to more of a damaging wind and hail threat. So for you folks in Clay City, Noble, over towards Olney, still, be on the lookout for the possibility of a tornado, but it does look like things are transitioning more to a wind and hail threat with that particular storm. Then, once again, I chuckle every time I see this big blob here, but this is just a massive blob of a severe thunderstorm here. Definitely seeing signs of damaging winds with this storm here. See these very bright green colors? You go from dark green to bright green. That's a very sharp gradient along the leading edge of these storms, and when you start to get into these very bright green colors here near Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Walnut Hill, Dix, and Kell, these very bright green colors depict where you could be seeing damaging winds of over 60 miles per hour. So we could be seeing damaging winds over 60 miles per hour with this cluster of severe thunderstorms here from Salem down through the Mount Vernon area. Also, could be looking at the possibility for hail. Once you start to see these darker purple colors here, for example, near the community of Dix right now, you could be looking at some hail with some of this activity as well. So this big cluster of severe thunderstorms near Mount Vernon definitely is probably producing some large hail and some damaging winds with it. And as I mentioned, it is moving off towards the east. So if you're in the Fairfield community, that's the next biggest town to the east of Mount Vernon, this stuff is going to be moving your way in the next hour or so. All right, here, let's jump into the chat really quickly here. Jordan checking in, mentioning there's confirmed tornado in Lakeview, Ohio. Yeah, unfortunately, Indiana and Ohio has not been as lucky. They have had several tornadoes occur over the past couple of hours. Even though we've seen several tornado warnings in Illinois today, there has been no confirmation of any actual tornadoes. So consider yourself lucky today if you've been in under those tornado warnings today. Josh checking in, wondering about that tornado-warned storm up near Marshall. That storm is running right along and just south of I-70 here, so just to the east of Marshall in Clark County. This is to the north of the community of Darwin, south of Denison. This is right along and just south of I-70. It is about to cross the border off into Indiana. This will probably pass very close to Terre Haute, Indiana here, or just to the south of there. So this storm in Clark County, where that tornado warning is still in effect, still showing a little bit of rotational signature here on the radar, but honestly, it's not all that impressive anymore, so it would not be surprising to see if that tornado warning just expires and they don't issue a new one, because that storm is looking far less impressive than it once was. But we do have this impressive-looking storm, on the other hand, down here. This is down here across portions, once again, of Jasper, Richland, and Clay counties here. We continue to have a tornado warning in effect for those areas until 8:15 p.m. But as I mentioned before, we've kind of transitioned from a tornado threat to almost more of a damaging wind and hail threat with this storm here. We're starting to show these brighter green colors develop here, and as the cold front has caught up to this storm and is now passing the storm, it is turning, like I said, more from a tornado threat to a damaging wind threat, in addition to a continued hail threat as well. So if you're Noble, Olney, yes, you're under a tornado warning still, but definitely more of a damaging wind hail threat at this time. Coming back down here to the Mount Vernon area, see a report of 60-mile-per-hour wind gust in Mount Vernon as of a short time ago. So this line of storms, as I mentioned here, these very, very bright green colors here, those are damaging winds. That is the radar showing us where those damaging winds are here with these very bright green colors here. So if you are in Mount Vernon, you're getting it right now. If you're in Blueford, Wayne City, over towards Johnsonville, over towards, what is this, Jeffersonville, Fairfield, Mill Shoals, this is all heading your way. Fairfield, you're actually under a severe thunderstorm warning now. The storm capable of producing damaging winds over 60 miles per hour and at least quarter-size hail with it. So we're going to continue to monitor this action here as it continues to go off towards the east. See, Bianca checking in here from, you live between Mount Vernon and Dix. That's right there along that I-57 corridor. Mentioning you've had a lot of rain and hail, and the power has gone out in your area. That's not surprising. That is a potent, what is now almost, before it was a cluster, and it's almost trying to form now into a line of severe thunderstorms here that move through that area, including the Mount Vernon area. Like I said, this is moving off towards the east. So if you are the next big town in line for this, I know there's a lot of small communities as well, but the next bigger community is Fairfield. So if you're in Fairfield, this line of severe thunderstorms will move through with some damaging winds and hail with it as well. All right, here, going to take a quick moment to step away here, see if I could gather any new reports or new information, and I will be back momentarily. All right, here, as we come back, it is now 7:45 p.m. Not seeing any immediately new reports coming out of any of these storms. So let's start back here on a little bit of a radar tour here now that we're at 7:45 p.m. We had this storm that has moved from Clark County, where that tornado warning was in effect, is still in effect, near the Marshall area. That storm is now moving into Indiana. So your threat in Clark County is about to end. Once again, we still have a tornado warning for eastern Clark County, but that storm is now crossing over into Indiana. So your threat for Clark County is about to come to an end, and I expect to see that tornado warning either expire or for it to be canceled. Back down a little bit to the south here. We continue to deal with this supercell storm across portions of, once again, Jasper, Richland, and Clay counties here. The cold front has caught this storm, but it's still trying to fight back here. It's still trying to fight back here. Now, we're seeing a little bit of renewed rotation with this storm here, very close to Noble in the Olney area. So we're going to continue to monitor this storm because it's trying to fight back a little bit here. Showing a little bit of rotation once again. Still probably a damaging wind threat. And also that threat for a continuation of some hail opportunities as well. And then once again, this big line of storms down here. This looks fairly potent right now. Definitely producing some damaging winds and hail with it as it came through the Mount Vernon area. See a report of half-inch hail in Mount Vernon, 60-mile-per-hour wind gust in Mount Vernon. There was a report of quarter-size hail in Woodlawn, just to the west of Mount Vernon. So this is a potent line of severe thunderstorms that came through Mount Vernon and is moving off towards the east. So once again, the next bigger community in line for this is Fairfield. It'll be there within the hour. Shay checking in, mentioning there was a confirmed tornado in Maystown 3 hours ago. Actually, that was, we actually got spotter reports on that, and there were actually not a tornado. So a couple hours ago, back in, I forgot what county it was. I forget my counties. I forgot what county it was, but down in Maystown, that's southwestern Illinois, well south of the St. Louis area, the National Weather Service, I believe it was Monroe County, actually. The National Weather Service had a tornado warning earlier out there, and it was a radar-confirmed tornado. But there were actually spotters and chasers on the storm that actually said there was not a tornado. So it does not appear that there was a tornado earlier. from that storm, so that's good news there. All right, here. So for Clark County, that storm that had prompted the tornado warning has now moved into Indiana. So that tornado warning is going to expire for Clark County. Once again, the storm that prompted the tornado warning for Clark County in southeastern Illinois, that storm has now moved into Indiana, so the threat is now over for Clark County. So I expect to see that tornado warning canceled very soon. If not, it'll expire at 8 o'clock. Further to the south, once again, we continue to see this supercell storm that continues to fight back. The cold front has caught up to it, and the cold front is attempting to undercut the storm. If the cold front undercuts the storm, it'll kill off the storm. But the storm is still trying to fight back as it fights along the cold front right now, and we are still seeing a little bit of renewed rotation with the storm right now as it approaches the Olney area. So if you're in Olney, definitely keep an eye on things. Maybe seek shelter if you'd like to. Since you are under that tornado warning, we are seeing a little bit of renewed rotation with this storm here, very close to Noble into the Olney area at this point in time. We also have this massive complex of severe thunderstorms, which has now prompted a tornado warning. So here we go. We got a new tornado warning in effect for portions of Wayne and Jefferson counties. This includes Fairfield. This tornado warning is in effect until 8:30 p.m., and I could already see the area of rotation right here. It really doesn't look much on radar right here, but this is an area of rotation right here, just to the southwest of Johnsonville, just to the west of Jeffersonville, and just to the northwest of Fairfield. Right in the middle of the screen here, that is where that area of rotation is. This is what would be known as a QLCS situation here. So this is a line of thunderstorms. This is a QLCS tornado warning here. These are one of those, it's not a supercell-based storm, but basically when you get those spin-ups within a line of thunderstorms, that's what we're dealing with here with this particular instance. Let's hop back up to this tornado warning here in the Olney area. Once again, continuing to monitor this, we have a little bit of renewed rotation right now, right in the Olney area. So if you are in the area of Olney right now, over towards the Noble area, right near the Noble Olney Airport, that is where we're seeing that little bit of rotation at this time. It is broad and it is weak, but nonetheless, we are monitoring that area of rotation at this time as it is beginning to move into the Olney area. And there we go. So the tornado warning for Clark County in eastern Illinois, southeastern Illinois, up near Marshall, that tornado warning was canceled. The storm has weakened, and it has moved off into Indiana, so some good news there. So our only warnings that we have in effect now are down here across southern Illinois. You can see these red boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings. The pink boxes are tornado warnings. So we have 2 tornado warnings in effect as of now 7:52 p.m. A tornado warning for the Olney area. Also a tornado warning here for portions of Wayne and Jefferson County, including the Fairfield area. This is what we would call a QLCS area here. This is a line of thunderstorms, a quasi-linear line of thunderstorms here, and sometimes along the leading edge of these areas, these lines of thunderstorms, sometimes you get little spin-ups to occur. And one of those spin-ups that is occurring right here, this is just to the southwest of Johnsonville, to the west of Jeffersonville, and just off to the northwest of Fairfield. This little spin up here on the radar here almost forms a little bit of a couplet here between the lighter green and the darker green color. That is where that spin up is showing up on the radar up across that area. So definitely going to have to watch that for a potential spin up of a tornado in that corridor there across Wayne and Jefferson counties. So these are the main areas we're watching. Also down here for you folks in southern Illinois, we have what actually appears to be a weakening line. So this actually appears to be a weakening line of severe thunderstorms, but as for right now, they're maintaining enough to still be producing some damaging winds here. So coming into Carbondale, Marion, down through Jonesboro, Cape Girardeau area, down towards Mound City, Cairo. All you folks be on the lookout for this line of thunderstorms coming through, capable of producing either gusty or damaging winds in that corridor down there across the far southern tip of Illinois. All right, here. I have Lynn checking in with strong winds in Randolph County right now. Chester, Lynn is checking in from Chester with strong winds. Power is flickering with the winds going on. Josh, once the storms have passed, the severe weather threat should be over. Carly checking in from Decatur. Severe weather is done for your area for the day. So this is the area we're really, really watching right now. Once again, we still have that tornado warning in effect here. For the Olney area, we are still watching a little bit of rotation with this particular storm here, right in the Olney area. A little bit of rotation very near the Olney Noble Airport right now. Also, a little bit further to the south here, we have almost this line segment, this QLCS-like line segment here. And sometimes along these QLCS situations, you get a little bit of a spin-up. And there is most definitely a spin-up showing up on the radar right now. A little bit of rotation going to be coming. It looks like it's going to head directly for the Jeffersonville area, or very close to there at least. U.S. Route 45 near Jeffersonville. With this little QLCS spin-up that we're watching. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and that is what prompted that tornado warning for portions of Wayne and Jefferson counties. Also see a new report out of Dix with power outages in the area, and that's not surprising because radar has been indicating some damaging winds up around that area. And I really don't see any new updated information on either of these storms, or at least not seeing any real reports on any of these storms right now, at least not on the tornado warned storms at this time. Obviously going to continue to monitor things here as we go through the next couple of hours here as this activity continues to slide off towards the east and the southeast across a good chunk of southeastern and southern Illinois. As I said before, if you're in northern and central Illinois, no severe weather for the rest of today and tonight. The main focus is all the way down here across southeastern and southern Illinois. Even if you're in Charleston, Effingham, Vandalia, St. Louis, your severe weather threat is done. It is over with. We're watching, obviously, southeastern and southern Illinois now over the next several hours for all of this activity that continues to move in. And the most vigorous, the most potent and significant activity right now is this activity from Olney down through Flora, down through that just passed the Mount Vernon area just a short time ago as well. A lot of folks still tuning in from Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois is not getting anything at all. Nothing up across Northern Illinois. Zane checking in from down in Salem. You're going to be getting some gusty winds here coming in very soon down around the Salem area with those showers and thunderstorms that have been going through around your area. You just had that big complex just go through a short time ago. The worst of it actually just missed to your south, but still you could see some heavy rains with those thunderstorms moving through over the next couple of hours, maybe some gusty winds at time as well, but the main threat is now off to your south and off to your east as well. All right, here, zooming back in on the storm near Olney, still a little bit of rotation very near Olney right now. A little bit of weak rotation pretty much right over Olney right now with this tornado-warned storm. Once again, this tornado warning is still in effect for portions of Jasper, Richland, and Clay counties until 8:15 p.m., including around the Olney area. Still a little bit of weak rotation showing up right near Olney right now, so we'll continue to monitor that storm. And then really, this is the most impressive thing at this point in time, is this line segment, if you want to call it here. This big complex of severe thunderstorms here from Flora down through the I-64 corridor here. that is what we're watching for. And this is going to be moving into Fairfield very soon. I know I've mentioned Fairfield several times. Fairfield is the next biggest community in line to get this massive area of severe thunderstorms coming through here. So if you're in Fairfield, be on the lookout for damaging winds and hail coming in here probably within the next half an hour, 45 minutes or so with this line coming in. New report of some quarter-size hail in Bell Riv. If I said that correctly, down there along I-64. That's just off to the southeast of the Mount Vernon area there. Mary, thank you for the correct way to pronounce Olney. I always thought it was Olney, but that's good to know that it's now Olney. Hopefully I remember that. I see Abby and Jennifer checking in from Robinson. Let's go back over to Robinson. I was just looking at Robinson a little while ago. Where did Robinson go? Robinson, your severe weather threat is now done. You just had some showers and thunderstorms move through. You might have had some small hail or gusty winds over there, but that is now moving into Indiana. So Robinson, your severe weather threat is now over with. So some good news there. Seeing a report out of Mount Vernon of some trees down. That's also not surprising because that was a good line of severe thunderstorms that moved through with some damaging winds. With this storm here, once again, the tornado warning for Wayne County continues until 8:30 p.m. here, and this is going to be coming right towards the very near or just north of the Jeffersonville area here. You could start to see some darker colors develop here, a little bit of red in there. This bright green kind of goes on a little bit of an arc here. That's that little spin up or that little area of rotation we're watching, and that's what prompted that tornado warning here. And it almost looks like we have a supercell structure here within this line of storms. This would be the top of the supercell from Flora over towards Xenia, and then the hook of the supercell would be down here towards Johnsonville. So it almost looks like we have a supercell embedded within this line of storms here as it moves eastward through the Johnsonville area, Jeffersonville area. This is going to be moving towards Mount Erie as well, so that's where we're going to be watching for this little spin-up to be moving through. Once again, if you're in Fairfield, be on the lookout for some damaging winds and hail with this storm as it moves through. All right, see some folks tuning in from the Lawrenceville area. That's as you head towards the east, towards Vincennes. This storm around the Olney area, which still has a little slight bit of rotation, but mostly a damaging wind and hail threat now coming out of Olney. This is going to run right along the U.S. Route 50 corridor from Olney towards Lawrenceville. So if you are in Lawrenceville, you may pick up the threat for some gusty winds and some hail within the next hour or so. So be on the lookout for that in the Lawrenceville area. Eventually, that'll push off or into Indiana as well. But really, the bigger storm right now is this line with potentially a little bit of an embedded supercell structure here coming through portions of, I believe it was Wayne County here near the Jeffersonville area. Once again, this is crossing U.S. Route 45, coming up through the Fairfield area, Jeffersonville, up towards Renard as well. And still not seeing really any sort of, big reports or any confirmations coming out of any of these tornado warnings today. So that is some very, very good news there. Yes, we have seen many tornado warnings today, but it is really, really good news when you don't see much in the way of warnings. That is for sure. Yeah, not really seeing much in the way of new information or new reports at this time, so we'll just continue to monitor the radar here with y'all. And we do have these storms, like I said, a couple different ones. Tornado warning still in effect up near Olney, over here in portions of Richland, Clay, the Jasper County region, out across that area there. We have this storm that has still shown a little sign of rotation with it, but honestly, it's more of a threat of damaging winds and hail at this point with that particular storm. And as I mentioned, it's going to run eastward along the U.S. Route 50 corridor through Claremont, Sumner, over towards Bridgeport, probably Chauncey, Pinkstaff, Birds, Lawrenceville, right along State Route 1 eventually here. So that's where that storm out there in Olney, that's going to move eastward and affect that corridor there. Like I said, still a little bit of rotation with it, but mostly a damaging wind and hail threat for the most part now. Otherwise, we have this massive line of severe thunderstorms here that does appear to have a little bit of a supercell structure embedded within it here that runs from up north around Flora and Clay City, down through Johnsonville, Jeffersonville. It's about to come into Fairfield right now, coming through Wayne City, and extends all the way south to Belle Prairie City as well. So this line of severe thunderstorms definitely has a history and still has a capability of producing damaging winds and hail with it as it continues to move off towards the east for all of these areas here. And speaking of that storm, here's that little rotational signature we're watching right now. Very close to Jeffersonville right now, about to cross U.S. Route 45 near Jeffersonville. This is off to the north of Fairfield. That area of rotation we're watching is going to come very close to Mount Erie in a little while. So if you're in Mount Erie, keep an eye on things. Take shelter if you'd like to. We have this storm coming in here very close to Jeffersonville right now here in Wayne County that has that tornado warning in effect until 8:30 p.m. That area of rotation, like I said, is crossing U.S. Route 45 right now, just to the north of the Jeffersonville area. And I see some of you folks tuning in from Olney. That storm is now passing your area. Wouldn't be surprising if some of you folks had a little bit of gusty winds or hail out there in Olney. But yeah, that storm is now passing to your east. Rotation on it is virtually gone at this point in time. That tornado warning is probably going to expire or be canceled here within the next couple of minutes. But that storm still does have the capability of producing some hail and some gusty winds with it as it moves off towards the east. Eventually will make it into the Lawrenceville area here before too long. So if you're out in that neck of the woods out that way, definitely keep an eye on things because you are under the gun here very shortly. Now, heading down south for you folks in southern Illinois, have a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust report at the Cape Girardeau Airport, it looks like. So this activity moving into the far southern tip of Illinois, places like Jonesboro, down through Dongola, down through Mill Creek and Tams, down through Mound City and Cairo. All of you folks are under the gun here for this line of severe thunderstorms moving through. Now, this activity is generally only producing damaging winds with it. This activity is generally producing damaging winds with it, and it actually looks like that report out of the Cape Girardeau Airport was 66-mile-per-hour winds. So this line, as it moves into southern Illinois, is producing some damaging winds with it, over 60 miles per hour. So if you are down here across the far southern tip of Illinois, Jonesboro, you're getting it right now. Over towards Vienna, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, all the way down towards Mound City as well. This activity will eventually move into the Paducah area here over the next few hours. Back up to the north for now, though. We have that line of severe thunderstorms now coming into Fairfield. We continue to watch this area of rotation just to the north of Jeffersonville, coming into the Mount Erie area. So once again, if you are in Wayne County, you are under a tornado warning until 8:30 p.m. This area of rotation with what appears to be an embedded supercell thunderstorm here just north of Jeffersonville does continue to have the capability of producing a tornado with it. And there is definitely some rotation in here. Flipping back over to the velocity, the radar wind velocity here, we continue to watch this, definitely continuing to watch the severe weather threat with this activity. And checking up north for that storm that went through the Olney area, looks like the airport, the Noble Airport, reported a wind gust up close to 40 miles per hour. So that storm is producing some gusty winds, probably has a little bit of hail as well. Kinsey checking in from Mount Vernon. The severe weather threat is over for Mount Vernon now, but you are still dealing with heavy rainfall with those thunderstorms moving through. But the severe weather threat for Mount Vernon is now pretty much over with. And zooming back out here, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at here, the main severe weather threat is pretty much down here across the far southern and southeastern tip of Illinois now. Places like St. Louis, you're done with the severe weather now. Anywhere north of there, you're pretty much done with the severe weather as well now. The severe weather threat for the next couple of hours most definitely is down here across southeastern and southern Illinois, and that threat will continue for the next several hours before this activity finally moves off towards the east into the Indiana area. Yeah, Shania, the tornado warning for the Olney area, definitely that is going to be, it was actually just canceled. So the tornado warning for the Olney area, that has been canceled. That storm has lost all of its rotation and is barely severe at this point, probably just producing some hail and some gusty winds at this point in time. So that tornado warning has been canceled for that area. So we only have one tornado warning left in effect, and that tornado warning is in effect for portions of Wayne County. This area of rotation right now is approaching the Mount Erie area. You can see this area of rotation kind of right where my cursor is moving on the screen right now, where that red and green comes together, which means it's approaching the Mount Erie area in Wayne County. That's where that tornado warning is still in effect until 8:30 p.m. So we are going to continue to follow this activity for a while longer here. A little while longer at least, as it continues to move off towards the east here over the next couple of hours here. Once again, if you're in southern Illinois, eventually coming into the Paducah area, we have this line of severe thunderstorms that recently produced 66-mile-per-hour winds just across the border in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, pushing across southern Illinois with a damaging wind potential with it. And then these storms, once again, a little bit further north here, coming through Fairfield right now, all the way up to Flora, the Olney area. You are all getting this severe weather activity right now as well. So quite a bit of severe weather still ongoing here across portions of southeastern Illinois, and that will continue to be the case actually over the next several hours here. But I want to reiterate, if I could talk anymore, I've been talking too long. I want to reiterate that the good news is, even though we have seen several tornado warnings in effect, there has been no confirmation of any actual tornadoes that have occurred. So some very, very good news there. To repeat that once again, even though we have seen several tornado warnings today, the very good news is that we have not seen any confirmed tornadoes across the state today. So that is some very, very good news. The unfortunate news is there have been several confirmed tornadoes in eastern Indiana and Ohio today. Several confirmed tornadoes. I've been looking at some of the damage photos out of Ohio and Indiana from some of those storms, and it is some fairly significant damage. So very, very lucky in Illinois today that even though, like I said, we've seen tornado warnings, we have not seen any confirmed tornadoes. So some positive there, but unfortunately, other portions of the region out there for those folks in parts of Indiana and parts of Ohio, those folks have seen some confirmed tornadoes, and some of those tornadoes, based on the pictures I've been seeing, some of those tornadoes have unfortunately been quite damaging here over the past several hours out there. But with that said, we do continue to watch things across the state of Illinois. The severe weather threat does continue across southeastern and southern Illinois over the next couple of hours here. We're going to continue to monitor it, as we continue to go through the evening here. At this point in time, we do still have one tornado warning in effect for Wayne County. A little bit of rotation here still near the Mount Erie area. But even outside of the rotation, this line of storms from Clay City all the way down through Fairfield, down to I-64, this line of storms is capable and has a history of producing damaging winds with it. So even if there isn't a tornado, the storm is most definitely still producing damaging winds and hail along with it as well. So it's quite a significant storm, line of storms, I should say, that we're dealing with moving across portions of southeastern and southern Illinois. See folks tuning in again. If you're tuning in from northern Illinois, there is no threat. No threat for northern Illinois. We are talking southeastern and southern Illinois. Once again, no threat for northern Illinois. This is southeastern and southern Illinois we are talking about. So good news for you folks. Like I said, northern Illinois, no threat for you. Central Illinois, your threat is over with. Southern Illinois, we're talking about you down across far southern Illinois, places like Carbondale, Marion, Harrisburg, Paducah, towards McLeansboro. You folks are still in line for this activity before it eventually pushes off into portions of Indiana and Kentucky. So going to be dealing with the severe weather threat still for the next couple of hours, as I mentioned. But the good news is, hopefully, as we continue to move on here, we'll see the threat come to an end for many of those locations as we head into tonight. All right, let's jump back a little bit further to the south again, coming back down into the Paducah area here, far southern tip of Illinois. This line, as I mentioned, of severe thunderstorms has a history of producing damaging winds. A short time ago, as it came through the Cape Girardeau area, there was a 66-mile-per-hour wind gust reported at the Cape Girardeau Airport. This activity is now pushed into southern Illinois. It is about to cross I-57 from the Jonesboro area down through the Mound City area. So this line of severe thunderstorms crossing I-57 at this time, and then it will continue east probably into the Paducah area after that time. Going back a little bit further to the north again, we have a scattering of severe thunderstorm warnings and a tornado warning still in effect here. That tornado warning is for Wayne County until 8:30 p.m. And then you can see here we have several other severe thunderstorm warnings from Lawrenceville back towards Clay City, then down through Fairfield. All these areas in the red boxes, the red polygons, those are severe thunderstorm warnings. So we're going to continue. We do continue to monitor this activity as it continues to generally push off in an easterly direction here. See, Brandon checking in from Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee down there, you are actually going to see a severe weather threat as well into tonight. Not much going on down there right now, but you will have a severe weather threat overnight tonight going on for you, Brandon, down there in Memphis. All right, here, continuing on, really not seeing much in the way of new reports coming in. See another one from Mount Vernon from a little bit earlier. Thousands of power outages in Mount Vernon. Once again, that's not surprising. This was a very potent line of severe thunderstorms that moved through that was most definitely capable of damaging winds and hail, and it is still capable of damaging winds and hail. So if you are in line to get this line of severe thunderstorms, if you're in places like Calhoun, Parkersburg, West Salem, Bone Gap, Albion, Belmont, Mount Carmel, Lancaster, Patton, Allendale, St. Francisville, Billet, Vincennes over in Indiana, Lawrenceville, up to Claremont, maybe even Sumner. If you're in any of those communities or even in any of the smaller communities between them, definitely be on the lookout for this line of severe thunderstorms moving through. It has a history of producing large hail and damaging winds ahead with it. Switching back over to the radar wind velocities. This is the radar looking at the storm, showing us what the potential winds are within the storm here. And when you start to see these brighter green colors here, from Mount Erie down through Golden Gate, those are damaging winds likely occurring over 60 miles per hour in those areas. So once again, if you are off to the east of this area, over towards eventually Mount Carmel, up towards Vincennes, that's just over the border in Indiana, definitely keep an eye out for this line of storms because it is headed your way. It has a history of producing damaging winds and hail, and it continues to have that capability as well. And the same goes for you folks in southern Illinois. With this little line of severe thunderstorms moving through the far southern tip of Illinois, it produced damaging winds of 66 miles per hour in the Cape Girardeau area a little while ago. It has now crossed I-57 here, going to be coming into the Paducah area very shortly. So for you folks, far southern tip of Illinois, be on the lookout for damaging winds with that line of severe thunderstorms as well. All right, with that said, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this portion of our live coverage, at least live here video for right now. Once again, if you're in southeastern and extreme southern Illinois, severe weather threat continues for the next several hours. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect from Lawrenceville over towards Olney, down through Fairfield area, eventually over towards Mount Carmel, between the north of the I-64 corridor, pretty much along and north of it here. All these severe thunderstorms going to be affecting those areas, eventually moving off into Indiana. Tornado warning for Wayne County ends at 8:30 p.m. It doesn't look like they're extending it at that point in time. But it does look like damaging winds and hail will continue with these storms across southeastern Illinois. And then once again, for you folks in the southern tip of Illinois, eventually into the Paducah area, damaging winds with these storms coming in as well. The severe weather threat will continue for these areas across those areas, I should say, for the next several hours here. Once that activity moves through, the severe weather threat is done. So if you're in places like northern, central Illinois, even down into the I-70 corridor, you are done with severe weather. Some areas didn't even expect to see severe weather today. So you're done. The severe weather threat, like I said, the next couple of hours for tonight, southeastern and far southern Illinois before this activity moves off into Kentucky and off into Indiana. But that will go ahead and end our live update for now for this evening. We will obviously continue to monitor things throughout the next several hours, and we will bring you additional social media updates and live updates as they are needed. But for now, like I said, southeastern Illinois, southern Illinois, severe weather threat for the next couple hours continues, and we will continue to monitor the situation, as should you.